Night on Nova Prime was quiet and dark. The sky was illuminated by the faint light of the stars, and a deep peace prevailed throughout the colony. However, this peace was about to be replaced by anxiety as a long-dormant threat beneath the surface began to awaken. Inside the main base, in the control room, Sarah Knight and her team were working intensely. Suddenly, a strange energy surge was detected in the systems. Computer screens flickered, and the lights dimmed slightly. Without taking her eyes off the screen, Sarah felt that something was very wrong. "This signal is unlike anything we've seen before," Sarah said, pointing at the fluctuating data on the screen with her hands. "We need to shut down all power centers," she added, her voice serious and determined. Jasper frowned as he looked at the data on his screen. "If we do that, the defense systems will be disabled," he said. "What if there's an attack?" Sarah locked her eyes on Jasper. "The worst part is, this signal might be the attack itself," she said. Seeing Jasper's hesitation, Sarah felt the need to explain further. "If the source of this signal is the enemy, our defense systems could fall into their hands. If we don't shut them down now, it might be too late later," she said. Jasper understood Sarah's logic. "All right," he said, taking a deep breath. "We're shutting down the power centers." Sarah pressed a button, and the energy across the base gradually decreased. The lights dimmed, the machines went silent, and the colony was plunged into total darkness. In that moment, everyone felt they were stepping into a terrifying unknown in the midst of deep silence. But just then, outside, something moved in the sky. What first appeared to be a faint glimmer quickly turned into a rapidly growing beam of light. Sarah saw the rising energy levels on the screen. This is impossible," she said, her eyes widening. "They're coming," she added, her voice filled with a chilling fear. The sky suddenly split open, as if the universe itself had torn apart. A massive spaceship appeared in the skies above Nova Prime. The Lords of the Stars, this ancient civilization that had been asleep for thousands of years, had now awakened. Jasper stared at the screen in horror. "They," he said, his voice barely audible. "They're real," he added, as if trying to convince himself. Sarah took a deep breath and closed her eyes. "The war begins," she said, her voice now completely resolute. "Everyone, take your positions. Tonight, the fate of Nova Prime will be decided," she said and turned to the control panel. In the sky, the alien ships began to move. The human colony went on high alert. War was inevitable, and everyone was now aware of it. But despite the danger they faced, humanity was fearless. For them, this war was not just a struggle for survival, but also a challenge that would determine their place in the galaxy. And humanity, accepting this challenge, would never back down. The sky over Nova Prime was filled with massive alien ships. The Lords of the Stars were representatives of ancient power and technology. But humanity was a race that would never abandon its struggle for existence. The colony immediately went into a state of war, alarm sirens blared, and defense systems were activated. One thing was clear to everyone: they had to fight to survive that night. Axel jumped into the cockpit of the specially designed fighter ship, Valkyrie. The ship was engineered for speed and agility, a marvel of human engineering. Axel quickly checked the ship systems, started the engines, and flew the vessel out of the hangar. As he sped towards the alien ships, he activated the communication systems. "They think they're invincible," Axel said, his voice filled with fierce confidence. "It's clear they haven't faced us before," he added, locking his eyes on the target. Axel drove the Valkyrie into enemy lines. The ship moved with a speed and agility that made it seem like it was dancing through the void of space. The alien ships seemed surprised by the human pilot's boldness. But Axel's intent was clear: to show them that humanity was not an easy prey. The enemy ships had strong shields, but Axel's Valkyrie was skilled at finding weak spots between the shields. On his first attack, he focused on an alien ship's power source. Laser blasts struck the ship's surface, and a bright explosion erupted. Axel watched the debris spun away by the explosion, a victorious smile on his face. "This is just the beginning," he said to himself, opening the communication line. "Calling all units, target the weak points. With a bit more pressure, bringing down these massive ships will be just a matter of time," he said, his tone commanding. Under Axel's leadership, the human fleet launched a fierce assault on the alien ships. They used the Valkyrie's agility and firepower to take down the enemy ships one by one. But the Lords of the Stars were not just relying on the size and technology of their ships. They had deadly weapons developed specifically against humanity. Suddenly, one of the alien ships fired at Axel's vessel. Energy beams struck the Valkyrie's shields. Axel barely managed to maneuver the ship to avoid the attack. "These are stronger than we thought," he said, his tone unhesitant. "But we are strong too," he added, turning the ship back towards the enemy lines. Meanwhile, Sarah was closely monitoring the situation at the main base. Axel's successful attacks had encouraged the entire colony. However, she knew the enemy had superior technology. "Everyone stay alert," Sarah said over the communication channel. "The enemy might be more dangerous than we anticipated. We must work together to win this battle," she said, her voice steady with a leader's calmness. The battle was intensifying. Human ships were continuously attacking enemy lines, destroying alien vessels one after another. However, for every ship the Lords of the Stars lost, another seemed to take its place. Seeing the seemingly endless strength of their enemies, Axel hesitated for a moment. "This might just be a test," he said to himself. "If the main assault hasn't started yet, when will the real danger come?" This thought pushed Axel to stay even more vigilant. In the dark sky over Nova Prime, an unrelenting battle raged between humanity and the Lords of the Stars. Humanity fought with all its might, putting everything on the line to protect the future of the colony. The battle over Nova Prime resonated across the galaxy like an echo. Humans were stubbornly resisting the overwhelming power of the Lords of the Stars. Although enemy ships had suffered heavy blows since the beginning of the battle, their sheer numbers and technological superiority were putting humanity in a tough spot. However, the colony's defense leader, Miles, had developed a clever strategy instead of succumbing to despair. Returning to the main base, Axel barely managed to land his damaged ship in the hangar. The Valkyrie's surface was battered from the battle. As soon as Axel disembarked, he locked eyes with Miles. Miles looked at Axel with a face weighed down by the burden of the war, but his eyes still held determination. "They're stronger than we expected," Axel said, breathless. "Not just in numbers, but technologically superior as well." Miles nodded. "Yes, but they have weaknesses," he said, handing Axel a tablet screen. "I've been analyzing their attack patterns and ship structures for a while. Their shields are vulnerable to high temperatures," he said, pointing to a diagram on the screen. "If we apply enough heat, we can disable their shields." Axel quickly reviewed the data Miles provided. "This could work," he said, his eyes lighting up again. "But how do we generate that much heat?" Miles closed the screen and looked at Axel. "We'll use solar storms," he said. "There's a solar storm passing close to Nova Prime. If we can lure the enemy ships into the right position, we can use the intense heat from the storm to disable their shields," he said, his voice calm with the confidence of a strategist. Axel knew the plan was dangerous, but he also recognized the tremendous opportunity it presented. "We'll need to draw them into a specific area," he said. "It's risky, but we have no other choice." Miles opened the map on the screen and began issuing instructions to other units. "Everyone, take your positions," he said, his voice filled with a commander's resolve. "We'll start drawing the enemy to the coordinates we've determined. Coordinate your attacks and drive them into the storm," he said, relaying orders through the tablet. Meanwhile, Ilara was engaged in battle with another ship at the enemy lines. When Miles's orders reached her, she sprang into action. "This will be their end," she said to herself, adjusting her fighter's controls. "Nova Prime will stay ours," she added as she maneuvered her ship towards the storm. Human ships began maneuvering the enemy into the coordinates Miles had planned. The aliens were struggling to understand this maneuver. What initially appeared as a retreat was too late for them to realize it was a trap. Ilara and the other pilots successfully drew the enemy ships into the area affected by the storm. "The solar storm is approaching," Miles said, addressing all units. "Everyone, take your positions. Attack when the storm hits. We need to disable their shields," he said, his voice firm and tense. The solar storm passed rapidly near Nova Prime. Space was suddenly filled with intense heat. Human ships were protected from the storm's effects by their specialized shields, but the same couldn't be said for the enemy ships. The storm's heat began to challenge the enemy ship's shields, causing them to collapse one after another. "Now," said Miles, not taking his eyes off the screen. "Everyone fire." Axel and Ilara, along with other pilots, launched their assault on the enemy ships. With the alien ships' shields down, they were vulnerable to humanity's attack. Axel fired the Valkyrie's laser cannons, hitting one of the enemy ships directly. The explosion echoed through the depths of space. It worked. Axel said triumphantly. We're closing their chapter. Elara fired at another enemy ship, which exploded in a massive blast. Keep going, she said. We're finishing them off. As enemy ships exploded one after another, the sky over Nova Prime began to clear. However, the power of the Lords of the Stars was not yet fully broken. This attack was not only a victory but also a testament to how far humanity could go. But everyone knew that this was not the end, only the precursor to a larger war. Miles opened the communication line to address all units. We've succeeded, he said, taking a deep breath. But this is only a victory. We've pushed the enemy back, but we haven't completely destroyed them yet. Everyone stay alert, he added, not taking his eyes off the screen. Although the sky had cleared, it was only a temporary calm. The humans knew the enemy would strike again. Sarah, in the control room, felt a moment of relief upon hearing Miles's words. However, a wave of concern quickly overshadowed this relief. The enemy is starting to retreat, she said, looking at the data on the screen. But this could be a trap. We're not safe until we've completely defeated them. Miles nodded in agreement with Sarah's words. Absolutely. This is just a retreat. The real danger hasn't arrived yet, he said, marking strategic points on the computer. We need to locate their flagship. It's the enemy's command center. If we can destroy that ship, the entire fleet will collapse. Axel, resting in the cockpit of the Valkyrie, heard Miles's words. Finding the flagship won't be easy, he said, his voice carrying both challenge and determination. But when we find it, we'll destroy it. There's no other way, he added. Elara, listening to the conversation in her own ship, interjected. Taking out their leader will end everything, she said to herself. But that means we're risking everything as well. After a moment of silence, Miles continued. We'll use all our resources to locate the flagship. We need to access their technology systems to find their weak points, he said. Jasper, do you have a plan for this? Jasper responded promptly. If we can capture one of their ships, we might be able to infiltrate their systems. But it's extremely dangerous. We might not have time to fully understand their technology, he said, his voice serious and contemplative. We have no other choice, Sarah said, decisively. We'll form an assault team and infiltrate the enemy ship. This will provide us with the necessary information about their command center. I volunteer, Axel said immediately. If someone has to do this, it's going to be me. Elara quickly spoke up. You're not going alone, she said firmly. We're in this together. Miles looked at Axel and Elara for a moment before responding. All right, he said eventually. You two will lead the mission. Select your assault team and get moving. We'll continue defending the colony in the meantime. Sarah turned to Miles. This might be a suicide mission, she said with concern. But we have no other options. Suicide mission or not, Axel said, his face set with determination. This is our duty. We must do this for humanity. Miles took a deep breath. This colony is counting on you. I'm confident you'll succeed, he said. Our fate is in your hands. Axel looked at Elara, and they reached a mutual agreement. We'll finish this, Axel said, meeting Elara's gaze. And then we'll return home. Elara nodded. Absolutely, she said. This war will end with us. Axel and Elara selected their assault team and prepared the plan to infiltrate the enemy ship. This could be the turning point of the war. Either humanity would successfully complete the mission and emerge victorious, or everything would come to an end. The sky over Nova Prime was now silent. But this silence was nothing more than the calm before the storm. As Axel and Elara prepared for their mission, everyone in the colony held their breath. The outcome of this war depended on their courage and skill. As Axel and Elara prepared for their mission to infiltrate the enemy ship, the tension on Nova Prime reached its peak. The pair, along with their selected team, advanced toward the enemy vessel, while everyone in the colony held their breath. This mission would determine the fate of humanity. The Valkyrie and Elara's ship silently approached the enemy lines. As they traveled through the void of space, Axel's mind was focused on one thought: finding and destroying the flagship. Everything hinged on this mission. Elara glanced at Axel from the side, her eyes filled with determination. We'll make it, she said, her voice calm and confident. Axel felt Elara's confidence. Yes, he said, with equal determination. We'll go all the way. As they neared the enemy ship, their team disembarked, and the infiltration began. Axel and Elara stepped into the vast corridor of the ship. The alien technology glimmered with a cold metallic sheen in the darkness. With each step, they felt the weight of their existential struggle. This ship is enormous, Elara said, scanning their surroundings. We're running out of time to find the command center. Axel checked the communication device and sent a signal to Miles. We've infiltrated the ship, Axel said. We're searching for the command center. Miles's voice echoed in their earpieces. Be careful, he warned. The enemy's defense systems might activate suddenly. We can't assist you. Axel looked at Elara. We're on our own here. But we can do this together, he said, gripping her shoulder tightly. Elara looked back at Axel with trust. I have no doubt, she said, and they continued on their path. At the end of the corridor, they found a massive door. It had to lead to the enemy's command center. Axel examined the door, searching for a weak point. This door is extremely secure, he said. But nothing is entirely safe. Elara handed Axel an explosive device. We need to try this, she said. We're running out of time. Axel placed the explosive on the door and stepped back. Ready? He asked Elara, his eyes focused on the device. Elara nodded. Ready, she said, drawing her weapon. Axel activated the explosive, and the door blew open with a loud crash. Metal shards scattered as the command center came into view. Inside, the alien leader and his top commanders turned toward Axel and Elara. The Star Masters watched the humans with a cold, dark composure. Axel and Elara immediately began firing. The enemy leader rose in deep anger. It won't be that easy, he said in a threatening tone in his language. But Axel and Elara pressed forward fearlessly. Elara noticed the energy source behind the leader. Axel, the energy source is over there, she shouted, pointing with her eyes. Axel quickly moved to the location Elara indicated. He fired his laser cannons without hesitation, breaking the protective shield around the leader. The enemy leader recoiled in shock, but it was too late. Elara pounced on the leader and with one final move, incapacitated him. Axel ran to the energy source control panel. I knew we could destroy this ship, he said, working to decipher the panel's codes. Give me a bit more time. Elara turned back to protect Axel. Other enemy soldiers were trying to attack the command center, but Elara managed to repel them. Hurry, Axel. Finish this now, she said, firing relentlessly. Axel pressed the final button and took control of the ship's systems. Now, he shouted. We're destroying the ship. Elara signaled to Axel to leave quickly. We need to get out of here. Axel and Elara began their escape as the countdown on the explosives started. The enemy ship began to shake, and a chain reaction of explosions occurred. The pair made a final dash to the hangar and jumped into their ship. As their craft swiftly pulled away from the enemy vessel, a massive explosion erupted behind them. The Star Master's flagship was shattered into pieces in the dark void of space. Everyone watching from Nova Prime saw the explosion as a sign of victory. A wave of joy swept through the colony. Axel and Elara were returning with triumph. Miles turned to his team in the control room. We did it, he said, his voice filled with victory. Humanity won today. When Axel and Elara landed their ships on Nova Prime, everyone in the colony greeted them. Sarah ran to them and embraced them. You are heroes, she said, her eyes shining with happiness. Axel paused for a moment, turning to Elara. This is a victory for humanity, he said. But the real war is not over. Elara touched Axel's shoulder. This victory is just the beginning of solidifying our place in the galaxy, she said. But no matter what happens, we're together. Axel squeezed Elara's hand in agreement. No matter what, he said. We fought together in this war and we won together. As the sky over Nova Prime was illuminated by the bright light of victory, humanity was stepping into a new era. The threat of the Star Masters had ended, but this victory was just the beginning. People would face new challenges in the depths of the galaxy. But this time, Axel, Elara, and all of Nova Prime's people had a strong belief in their ability to overcome any obstacle. I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye, see you in the next story.